Wendy Fisher with Utah Open Lands and Henry Dieters from Park City Municipal regarding the purchase of property referred to as Bonanza Flats by Park City Municipal. Mr. Mayor.
Good evening, and thank you for your time this evening. So, you may have heard the rumor of us, our interest in purchasing this property, and we're going forth with fundraising to complete that possibility. But we really wanted to come here, Wendy Fisher from Utah Open Lands, Heinrich Dieters from Park City, and myself, to just engage and hear what your concerns are. You know, we hadn't really had face-to-face with you with regard to this issue. We wanted you to know that we acknowledge you as the land use authority over this land. This is Wasatch County, and we want to be good neighbors. And so this 1,350 acres that you can see behind me, of course, has been on Park City's horizon for a couple decades. You know, we've looked at this as long as the annexation efforts, probably 15 to 20 years ago. And so the opportunity finally came about for us to participate. We weren't sure how our community would, whether or not they supported this idea or not, so we put it forth in a bond for $25 million, thinking that would be certainly a good step towards a purchase like this. And it passed with over 70% of the vote. So we know we've got strong support from the community. And we're really here to listen to a great extent. You know, we're charging forward with this purchase. We have to step up here soon with another commitment of another $1.5 million by the 15th of March. And our fundraising seems to be going extremely well. But I'm not here tonight to put the touch on you. We realize you have your priorities and your issues, and they're not always going to be the same as ours. But we want you to know that if we're successful in the purchase of this land, that this is open space and protection of watershed for your community and your use as well as ours.
Thank you. Any questions for the mayor or comments?
I've got this background of, you know, the brain trust. That we even have our own news media source, Jay Hamburgers. Take up and take a bow, Jay. We travel. It seems like lately I travel with my own newspaper person, watching every word I say, right, Jay? But please, any questions you have, we'll attempt to answer them. We can't answer everything because we're moving forward. We don't have an open space conservation easement established at this point in time. We haven't even devised a plan for how that would happen and how we would structure it. That's a process that we have yet to really unfold. Wendy, do you want to add something?
It's a pleasure to be here with you tonight. This effort to protect Bonanza Flat actually kind of reminds me of back in 1994 when we worked with all of you and Bob Mathis, I believe at the time, was the planning director here in Wasatch County. We worked on Snake Creek Canyon. It's quite an effort. And I think that what I've seen, which I think is a credit to you all as a county, is there are actually a lot of residents from Wasatch County who have contributed to the fundraising effort, in part because they really appreciate the quality lifestyle that Wasatch County has really been known for so many decades, probably driving a lot of the growth that you guys see as well. So from agricultural heritage to recreational pursuits, I think this is definitely a county that people appreciate the quality of life. And Utah Open Lands is working hard to forward on fundraising, and then you guys are familiar with conservation easements. You've seen that before. So we'll go through that process with Park City as well.
Any questions or
Yeah,
comments?
a couple of thoughts. You asked about our questions and concerns. Appreciate you being here tonight and sharing this with us. Open space, we really do like open space in our county. I think between two projects, we've had two developers that have contributed about 6,000 acres of open space. I believe, is that correct on the number?
It's actually about closer to 9,000 just on the two developers.
Okay, so we really do like open space, and we appreciate that. Maybe some concerns, but I'm not sure. everybody else has the same concern, but as far as access and restriction on travel, if there would be anything like that, if Park City, if you took control of this property, if there'd be any restriction on vehicles going back and forth that way, that might be one concern.
I think a reminder that it's a county road.
Yeah, that's a county road from Guardsman Pass all the way down Pine Canyon. And so we have no intention of, jumping into the role that you all have with regard to that. And so I hope that answers your question.
That's great, because there's been some people that have expressed that concern that there might be. I just wanted it to be localized so people can hear that. So that
Yeah. Well, it is indeed a county road, and we respect that.
So then back to the money, as far as that.
Well, if you got your check there, I didn't say I would turn it down.
I just wanted to see where you were at on it. Ask us for money or what? So that was probably the big elephant in the room.
Wow, so I get to answer the big elephant question. Wow, I don't know if I like that. So, one of the cardinal rules as a fundraiser is you never turn down money. So certainly anything that I collect here tonight, I'm happy to take and apply to Bonanza Flat. But I think that, one, there are a lot of different jurisdictions that use this property. It happens to be in Wasatch County, but as you well know, because you have the county road, you see a lot of folks from Salt Lake City when the inversion gets tough down there and they want to come up and they want to breathe some clean air. So we're trying to get a lot of different jurisdictions to step up to the plate, and we know that you have other open space goals. As a county, at least I've been involved, and I think with you, Councilman Farrell, and some other goals for open space. And so from my perspective, the good news is you have residents that are interested in the goals of open space. But at this point, we had not anticipated, from a fundraising perspective, coming to Wasatch County and asking for funding. We're trying to get as many different folks to participate in this as well. But again, I can pass around the hat any moment. I'm happy to do that.
Very good. Thank you very much.
One other, and I don't know how many of the other council listened, we got a phone message today, and this person expressed 3 concerns, which some of those I think are probably our concerns. Some of them have already been answered. One of the concerns the person expressed was public parking access in the wintertime. I suspect this person probably lives in Brighton Estates and was concerned they already have an established parking, and they were concerned about public parking and hindering their access during their winter time. The other question was how would the easement be enforced, and that's of course part of it, you put it together to enforce that. And the other question was, Park City plan on maintaining the historical access that Brighton Estates has up through there into their development, which me as a council I think are concerned they maintain too, because they're county citizens.
Yeah, absolutely. 100 years trails and open space in Park City. I think that's one of the biggest questions. I think that if you spoke with Brighton Estate residents, I know there's a couple here, that they would say that there's issues associated with their access and their parking as it is. I think that the status quo of how they've been able to access their property is a goal of council, and it's something that we definitely want to uphold. But there's also aspects about where the parking is, et cetera. And if we can improve those aspects, because I think there's also some concern associated with having to go to UDOT every year and deal with the plowing aspects and things like that. So I think there's a mutually beneficial aspect to where we can work with not only Wasatch County, but Brighton Estates, and work out something that's really to the best of everyone. So I think that tackled sort of the Brighton Estate question. I would even take that across to the summer. As many of us know that have been up there, parking, it's wildly popular now. The parking up at Guardsman Pass itself has become an issue. I know that working with Tracy C. at State Parks, just not having the ability to get emergency vehicles up to some calls for fire, et cetera, are some real concerns. I think from a watershed standpoint, from a wildfire standpoint, we all need to collectively look at that. But we don't even own the property yet. When we do, I think one of the first things that's going to happen, I think we have some survey work to do. I know we'll be working with Wendy on the environmental studies, understanding what exactly is going on up there, what rights are up there. And then you're going to see this long process of communication and cooperation on how we can best preserve the recreational access, the environmental standpoints associated with the property, in the sense that we don't love it to death, because we're seeing a little bit of that throughout the Wasatch Front and the Wasatch Back. And so we're committed to working with our stakeholders to make that better. So,
I think one concern that I have, and you spoke to that, is access needs to be open to everybody, not just select groups here and there, like so happens so many times. Somebody decides that this is what this ought to be used for, and everybody else will be shut out. And we want to be wide open access to all county residents, all state residents.
yeah, I think to that point, there was some concern with a very high-end exclusive development going in there, what might actually happen to an area that a lot of us have recreated in for some time. Now, it has been private property. Jay, will you please leave the room where you are? So
It's also opposed to private property.
right. So I will admit, here on the record, that I have taken my children to Bloods Lake and walked right by that sign. We want to take a preservation role, and with that preservation role also begs the management role, and we're going to need help from a lot of different jurisdictions to make that successful for the public.
Thanks. Thank you. Any other comment?
I got a couple of questions. On the sales price of $38 million, is that negotiable? Or how did you establish that? Do you have to have an appraisal done because you're paying an awful lot of money for development rights?
It is indeed a lot of money. We're keenly aware of that. And it's based on competitive market, competitive pricing. And the other folks that were looking at going in there, I believe, were actually paying, I can't say what percentage more, but more money than this $38 million we're talking about. So the price is based upon what the market will bear. And we know that. We're going into this with our eyes open, and we'll be very transparent about it with all of the community members.
Because the way I figure it, there's about $25 million just in development rights going to that.
Yeah, I can't speak to that. I know there was a substantial amount of, there was an not a complete approval, but there was a plan early in the process for...
there was a plan for 260 units.
Right.
And Park City was going to give them the water and take the sewer back.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a large plan because it's covered a number of different things. So, like the Flagstaff and all them,
Mm-hmm.
you got some concessions on them when they developed.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm aware of the plan. I've seen the plan, and I know there was substantial density associated with it. And that was one of the motivations for our desire to purchase it as open space, because of the negative effect of that cascading into Park City.
Yes. Would the county and the state department have a say in conservation easement, or being part of this group that when you establish what the usage would be?
Well, and again, you're familiar with kind of the process that we've gone through with conservation easements in the past. In fact, I believe the Snake Creek conservation easement, you don't have any enforcement responsibilities, but you're actually named as one of the stakeholders. And I think that's what Heinrich has talked to in terms of what the intention of the council is, and certainly Utah Open Lands as we move forward in this process. We look at the current condition, we look at a natural lands inventory, and that takes into account all the different conservation values and purposes, from recreation to wildlife to scenic views, even some of the heritage that's up in that area. And so absolutely, our process is always one where we involve as many of the stakeholders as possible without necessarily saddling you with responsibilities.
Any other comments or questions? Mr. Davis, please.
As you're aware, several months ago, I was contacted by Park City Manager. Diane and I discussed this, and we discussed it as a council, and generally support private property rights of people who purchase property, whether it's an entity or an individual. In doing so, certainly as this is developed over time, an awareness of other potentials is out there, and some concerns that the council's expressed to me and I have come up with. Certainly we do have some county roads in there, but if we were to improve those county roads, the affected easements could be substantial. The grades on the road coming down from Garsman Pass are 10% or higher in a couple of places, and we would want to ensure that we would have capability of easement improvement for drainage and safety issues. We had a death up there 2 years ago on that road off the cliff, and so that certainly is going to be a concern of the county. Parking is certainly a concern of the county. Wildlife management is certainly a concern. We've had other conservation areas which have prohibited hunting, and all that has done is created areas that destroy the forest and actually create problems for neighboring properties. So we want good neighbors in the process too. And I don't bring these up as complaints, it's just ideas that we want to be involved in as this process goes forward, that we're not forgotten in this. The other big issue, which I think is there, is currently we're responsible for emergency services in that area. If the property were to develop with 230 or so units, we would have substantial income to pay for emergency services. And since that's not going to happen, we're going to forego that. We would look to Park City then to help us with providing emergency services on this property. I think there's some things like that we need to make sure get involved in the process so that it can be done. We're very supportive of open space. As Councilman Peterson mentioned, just on 2 of the developments recently, we have over 9,000 acres land. None of the taxpayers had to pay for that land in Wasatch County. That was development donated properties. The county currently is around 70% public lands, and so we're a little sensitive when we start getting into the 30% that produces the revenues for schools and other services in the county, to make sure that it does benefit everybody. And so I think we still, I want to be careful I phrase, I think we have support for the process that we're going through, and hope that during the process time that we can be involved to make sure that we don't have any unforeseen negative effects on other county properties. Is that fair?
Thank you.
Well, that's why we're here. So we wanted to be a little more engaged in this process. This is the beginning. We haven't purchased the property yet. This is not the last time we'll be talking with each other. And I hope to really improve the opportunity for us to talk about other issues, other related issues. You know, we all know that we have issues with housing and transportation, and we'd like to make sure that we're not undermining each other with regard to what it is we're up to. And so I hope we can have another opportunity to talk to you about some of that. Maybe bringing the 2 councils together in some magical way.
That'd be great. I think we've talked about that. I mean, at least we have. Anyway, so thank you for coming.
Yeah, again, thanks for your time. Thanks for your patience and understanding of
Good luck with your fundraising.
Thank you.
And when is our next inter-county get-together?
I don't know. I think this is the opportunity to put that date on.
We haven't done that for a while. What do we have, a canvas or?
I think we should-
Perfect group here to decide.
It's a perfect group.
I don't think it's set actually yet. So I think maybe we all have names of possible.
Yeah, that's probably a good way to do that.
Yeah,
We'll work with the county too. It's good to have those 3 groups together.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being here.
Good evening.